what if there was something more important to your independent music business than branding? I know people on this app and all these other platforms like to talk about how if you don't have your branding together, then everything's going to fall apart. Well, there is some truth that we do need to have a brand. However, the type of branding that is put forth most likely is not the fix, and in fact has been the result of a lot of musicians' frustrations and misfortunes and financial lack of return on investment. I'll just put it that way. Because branding can work, but without this thing I'm going to share with you today, branding can just be an absolute money pit where we're spending tons of money and we're not seeing any growth in our music business. Sure, we may see a follower or two there, but we don't see the kind of results where they're actually turning into listeners on Spotify. They're not joining our lists. They're not buying merchandise. They're not buying tickets. So what good is it, right? So I want to share with you how marketing like a label is not the way to go, right? A lot of labels are still kind of caught up in this old style of branding. And I want to share with you in today's video what, in my opinion, the right role branding has and what actually is more important than branding as we traditionally know it. So let's kind of define those two things here in a second. We've talked about, actually I want to go into this first. The purpose of branding, period, is to get impressions. Now, what does impressions mean? It could mean like a metric impression, like what you've probably seen on advertising. Like we're trying to get an impression. It's how many times your ad has been seen by a person, right? There's impressions. But we're also trying to create first impressions, right? We're trying to create both of those things where we're getting a lot of views, a lot of attention on us, but we want them to have a lot of impressions of us. Like, ooh, this is a person who stands for X, Y, and Z and really resonates with me on this, this, and this, right? We don't just want these kind of general, oh, okay, I saw you. I mean, that's an impression, but is that the kind of impression that we want? No, we want the impression where we make an impression on somebody. So we want to get attention and figure out how to make that impression. Now, how do we do that? With the branding, it's supposed to connect with people. It's supposed to build a connection, okay? It's supposed to share with how me living in my authentic, kind of brand, because that's what it needs to be based around. I've talked about this in other videos, where your branding needs to be based around your authenticity, but just cranked up to like 10. You need to figure out how, therefore, I can build a bridge between this authentic brand of who I am and who I want to attract and create that set of words, images, visuals that bring people from this state of not knowing about me to not only knowing about me, but seeing how me and them have gone through similar things. We've had similar life experiences, similar emotions. And as a result, there's a connection with this artist. A lot of people have connections with artists because they listen to their music and feel like, wow, this artist really touched on something that is really close to my heart. It makes me feel connected to them. And this kind of, not like they're my, relative or they're like my loved one or anything, but they're, there's like a friendship kind of connection you feel with an artist because they've helped you, based on the connections that they share, whether it's the literal events that you live in your life. Someone may say like, I actually went through the same thing you went through. Or it's like, wow, I felt the same emotions that you felt going through what you've gone through, And building that connection is what branding is about. So now that we understand the purpose of branding, there's two types of branding, okay? The two types of branding are image-based advertising, which is what Coca-Cola does, right? That's how Coca-Cola markets. It's image-based. It's just tons of exposure and impressions from a metric sense, right? How many different times can we get this ad viewed? So we'll put it in Times Square and these kind of ways of looking at advertising. That's image-based advertising. However, there's been another formulation of branding that I feel has actually led to more direct financial benefit for people implementing it than traditional branding, because the traditional branding comes after they've sold billions of dollars. I mean, think about it. Coke, Nike, Apple, all these companies have marketing budgets where they'll spend $1 billion on marketing and they are not shy about it. Because they understand how their marketing can be a return on investment, except they have budgets to play with that are in the billions, right? And that's how they're able to dominate, because there's a rule in business, which is whoever can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. Now, The downside is, like, think of Coke. They're kind of a bad example because you would think, oh, that means that they're directly responsible for how many, Cokes they sell based on their advertising. Their biggest buyer is actually McDonald's. So, and they're in, think about it like this. Coke makes their money selling their product to businesses, and then businesses make money selling Coke products in their stores. But by the time the Coke is sold to you or I at the convenience store, Coca-Cola has already made its money from the person who bought that case of Coke. They're done in the transaction, right? So it's a little deceiving because people think, oh, well, Dax, doesn't that refute your argument because Coca-Cola makes billions of dollars and they use this big image-based branding? It's like they use that for public perception because they have the budget to do so. But where they're making a better chunk of their money is selling to corporations like McDonald's, selling to the convenience store owners and things like that. I don't think that the reason McDonald's makes money is just because, or not McDonald's, Coca-Cola makes money is because they're making ads all the time that you're seeing. That's not really what's happening. They've established themselves over 100 years of being one of the default soda options in almost every single fast food establishment in America and in some places across the world, right? So once you have that kind of footing, sure, advertise like Coca-Cola. You've got the income revenue now to expand to this, I can just blow $1 billion on advertising to just keep my name relevant, even though I'm making the majority of my money over here, right? So what is the little guy? What does the person who is coming up in this business do if they don't have a 100-year history like Coca-Cola and they don't have this, marketing budget in the billions? They can use something called intent-based branding. So there's image-based branding and there's intent-based branding. What is that? Intent-based branding is branding with the intention to sell something. Now, that doesn't mean that you are selling while presenting your brand. That's not what that means. Listen to the language on that. Branding with the intent to sell. So for example, let's say you have a core product offer in your email list that is revolved around people kind of being one of the tribe, right? So maybe you've got an item that every single one of your fans has to have. It's like the core thing, right? So what we want to do is position our branding in such a way that the fan is going to adopt the identity as one of the tribe, so that when they're presented this offer as, hey, buy this because this is how everyone in the, it's like a social proof aspect at that point. Everyone in the tribe has one of these. You want to make sure you have this since you're now a part of that tribe. I'm using big picture 10,000 overfoot language because that's how I can easily demonstrate the concept to you guys. But that's fundamentally what it is. It's branding with this intention that at some point you're going to sell something, and the branding has done its job in this sense, which is positioning, okay? Positioning is how you place yourself in the mind of your fan or your prospect that gets them to look either negatively or positively at giving you money. That's one way we can look at it, right? So the branding is setting it up to where, like, let's say, you have a community name, right? I know a lot of these musicians nowadays, you want to name your fan club and give it like a cool name that's relevant to the name of your project. In this community that you have, you want to have certain like ideals. What you're really doing is just tapping into who you are authentically, but also how that resonates with your broader market. One of the examples that I give is that, metal music, we typically don't like mainstream pop music, right? So we like to throw stones at pop music. So you can plant your flag in the ground and say, I'm against this super, McDonald's music, pop music, you're planting your flag. And so you're saying, okay, yeah, people that are in this tribe, we're throwing stones at pop. And then you can create a shirt around, it's like rock, not pop, or what, that's a stupid example, but you get the idea. The big picture concept is the branding positions yourself in such a way where now people are kind of joining the tribe, joining your universe. And inside of that universe, you've got some different ways that you can set up an offer, like a fan club offer. a core product offer that every single one of your fans kind of should have, quote unquote should, right? They should have, because it's like, if you're a member of this community, this is a must have. So this is where you can show off to the world. It's just a wristband that says, I am a blank, that's you insert artist name fan, right? You're trying to create this environment where, oh, okay, the branding helps open up their mind to a place where they're not just like, oh, that was a cool commercial about a polar bear drinking Coke. You know, they're thinking to themselves, man, I want to be a part of that community of people, right? And that's kind of what we want to think about in the position of marketing as a musician, is also living that authentically. And that's going to be represented in your social media, is living out that life as authentically as humanly possible and attracting people to it so that when you make the offer, they're already in the group, the mindset, if that makes sense, right? Now, the third thing that we really need to look at is what's happening is, we're going to call it intent-based branding, but it's really branding with a missing component. And that missing component is direct response marketing. So what is direct response marketing? As the name suggests, it's marketing to get people to directly respond to you. You know, it's pretty straightforward. You're getting people to actually want to join the email list, join the fan club, buy the core offer, buy the ticket, listen to the music. You're not just looking for them to have some kind of branding for branding's sake experience. That's not going to be helpful for your business, where they just like see you looking cool and then that's it. If they see you looking cool, but there's a positioning and maybe the text on the screen, or you're getting them to want to be a part of your group, your tribe, your community, and then you have a way to offer free access into the community via the email list, and then like a cool product as sort of the flagship thing that every single person needs to have to say, hey, look at me, I'm a fan of this person, right? So that's one of the things that I would look at, is the direct response foundation, because this is what builds a business, okay? It's what builds a business is not people seeing you a bunch, liking your videos, or even following you. That's not what builds a business. And so a lot of image-based advertising is like, we'll get you so many views, we'll get you so many followers, but that's not what matters. Direct response looks at what matters. What are the metrics that matter? Okay, how many fans can I communicate with directly? That's how big is your email list. How many fans are actually purchasers of something that I've sold ever? Have a list of buyers, right? Have a campaign to turn people who have never bought anything or have just now joined the list and you've never sold them anything. Have a way to sell them something, right? Have an actual offer that uses like old school salesmanship basically to sell this. You don't need to be like crazy, hypey, pressure, bad pressure kind of marketer. You don't need to do that kind of stuff. But what you can do is use old school salesmanship, where you're basically saying like, this is what I have. This is why it's awesome for you. Here's what I want you to do next. Pretty straightforward. You ascertain exactly, hey, here's how what I have is really cool for what your situation is right now, and here's why you need it. And so now here's what I want you to do now. I want you to go click here, and I want you to go buy this right now. You use, I'm being very direct and obvious about it, but when you're communicating in this kind of manner, you're trying to figure out how you can sell directly without beating around the bush, but with also having some graciousness about it. How to be sort of respectful and elegant about it. Now, elegant doesn't always mean you have the greatest vocabulary. Sometimes the emails where you sound drunk actually convert the best. And why they do is because they're casual. They're not emails that are like clearly written by ChatGPT or something, with the most perfect grammar and greatest vocabulary in the world. No, it's just that it's written in such a casual way that you feel like you're getting an email from your friend after a late Friday where you guys have had too many brewskis. Those feel casual, conversational, and that opens people up to actually receive the message that you're trying to send them, as opposed to thinking, oh, here they are trying to sell me something immediately. But you have to look at this from, okay, what's more important? Getting view count impressions or making an impression on somebody so that they actually feel a desire to join my tribe so that I can eventually, over time, sell them things. I think that's the type of branding that's actually going to build a business. I don't know about you, The one, oh, I'm sorry. The one, it's like, yeah. You can either build a very money pit like business where you're just throwing money at getting views and follows and stuff, or you can build a business where you're actually getting people to directly respond to you so that you can figure out who are my fans that are willing to support me and who are the ones that are not. And also identify, is what I'm selling good or not? You know, is there a way I could create an offer that would sell better? Looking at those kind of things, that's what you would look at in your direct marketing that's actually going to build a business. Looking at that other stuff is vanity metrics and image-based advertising if you're Coke or Nike, which even advertising agencies have like basically admitted behind closed doors that what they do is sell these big picture image-based things because it's a way for these companies to spend more on advertising so they can make a bigger percentage off their checks. So sure, we can try to play that game and try to win that, or we can play the game where we're actually running off metrics that matter. I've made my choice, and it's gotten tremendous results, not only just for me, but for my clients and other musicians who just gone out there and implemented this stuff. I had one person comment that some of this stuff has given them their best merch nights ever. So you have to look at that old school salesmanship that you can use in branding. So they're working together. They're not opposites of each other where it's either like you just sell the crap out of them or branding. It's you use branding to help you sell more. Because the branding is designed as such to engineer the sale, not just branding for branding's sake. So if you got a lot of value from this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, all that good YouTube-y kind of stuff. And if you'd like some one-on-one help implementing direct marketing systems into your business, then hit the link that's in the description to apply for a one-on-one coaching call. It's totally free, but it's to see if you'd be a good fit, if we could help you out and grow your music business together. So check that out if that's a good fit for you. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you on another video inside of Musicians Ignite. Take care.